No, you're not building fortresses and defending them from monsters, but I assure you, this is Fortnite. Hot on the heels of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Epic Games released a Battle Royale mode which throws some of what's unique about Fortnite into a game that's very similar to PUBG. Of course, Bluehole didn't take too kindly to this, especially since Epic Games is the company that licenses PUBG's engine. Bluehole even went as far to release a statement that displayed its obvious disapproval and announced that it's considering further action. The thing is, PUBG isn't the first Battle Royale game. Sure, Brendan PlayerUnknown Green played a huge role in the mode's inception and popularity with mods for Arma 3 and H1Z1, but since then there have been several standalone Battle Royale games and mods for other games, including Minecraft. On top of all this, the entire idea started with a Japanese novel called Battle Royale, which was published in English in 2003. So the question that comes to mind is, can Bluehole really be successful in taking action against Epic Games? Unfortunately, neither Bluehole nor Epic accepted my request to talk about this, so I brought back video game attorney Ryan Morrison to explain the situation to me, and perhaps unsurprisingly, he says that you can't own an idea, genre, or even a mechanic in most cases.
So you cannot own an idea, you can't own a genre, you can't even really own a mechanic outside of some basic patents that exist in games and could exist in the future, but generally you don't own those three things. So that's why we see a lot of games that are similar. If you could own a genre or own an idea, then the very first-person shooter would make it so no one else can make one of those. So a Battle Royale type game, which is based on a movie that's not even originally theorized by Bluehole, is never going to be a protected thing. There are assets, of course, that are copyrightable and protectable. There's trademark elements that are protectable and copyrightable. And there's a lot of stuff here that I think Bluehole is right to be upset about. But the overall genre or idea that they're claiming to own is a step too far, in my opinion.
And unfortunately for Bluehole, there was a bit of a backlash to its initial statement. There have been plenty of people confused and angered by Bluehole seemingly asserting that it owns the Battle Royale idea. That statement even says PUBG is the first standalone Battle Royale game, when titles like H1Z1 King of the Kill and The Culling launched in 2016. Morrison told me that Bluehole probably thought the internet would side with it, and quote, light Epic Games on fire. Bluehole has since clarified to PC Gamer that its specific problem is with the fact that the company which developed Fortnite Battle Royale is also the licensor of PUBG's engine, but Morrison told me that doesn't complicate anything legally. However, it is a question of ethics. Morrison says that Bluehole works directly with Epic to make sure that their game can be supported by Unreal Engine 4, so the fact that Epic then went on to create a direct competitor seems a little unethical. But it's also legal, and Morrison says that Bluehole's public statement edged closely to biting the hand that feeds them. Of course, Epic wouldn't actually stop doing business with Bluehole because that would just make matters worse. And in regards to Bluehole's statement, there's one thing Morrison specifically wanted to talk about. It's the phrase considering further action, which he says doesn't actually have to mean anything.
That's something I've put in every cease and desist I've ever sent out. That's what lawyers say, that's what legal teams say, that's what lawyers allow their clients to say. Because there's a big difference between saying we're going to consider further action versus we're going to do further action. If I say answer this by Thursday or I'm suing you, I need to sue you on Thursday if you don't answer. If I say answer this by Thursday or we'll consider further legal action, then I don't really have to do anything. I'm considering it. I'm not putting myself in a hole. I'm allowing the room for more negotiation, for figuring this out, for other kind of settlements. And that's what Bluehole did here.
However, none of this necessarily means Epic Games is in the clear. One thing the Fortnite studio did that definitely didn't seem on the level was mentioning PUBG in marketing materials. Morrison assured me that it's legal to compare your game to another, but Bluehole could use it against them in court. Morrison doesn't think a suit is very likely and believes that it wouldn't be a winning situation for Bluehole, but it's stuff like this that the studio could bring up and attempt to make a case out of. It shows a judge that Epic might be trying to ride PUBG's coattails, and that isn't necessarily a good start for Epic's defense. The most contentious part of this, at least to me, is the fact that Epic beat Bluehole to consoles with a free-to-play option. Morrison says that this is something that might actually push Bluehole to file a lawsuit or try for a court-ordered injunction.
I think being first to market in this sense, it's an overall concept legally first. So it's the first person to sell a copy anywhere on anything that is now protected on everything everywhere. But what's interesting here is that kind of first to market race that Fortnite seemingly is going to win might make Bluehole actually pull the trigger on a lawsuit or try to get some kind of injunction. Again, I don't think it's going to be successful, but it's not frivolous either. There is certainly arguments to be made here. There is a game that has admitted it is a derivative work of ours, which again, I don't agree with, but by their advertising and by their similarities, there is an argument to be made there. And I think Bluehole would say, listen, this work is a derivative work of ours. It's infringing on our game, and it needs to be stopped before it's allowed to go to market on these consoles, and it should be taken down off the computer. That's what an injunction is. Basically, these guys aren't okay with what they're doing, so they have to stop, and the court orders them to stop selling it, stop downloading it, all of the above, and that's what Bluehole would attempt to do here.
Despite all these ifs, coulds, and mights, Morrison stressed that this is much more likely to be settled outside of a courtroom. Bluehole and Epic might not be talking to the public about any of this, but the two companies are definitely talking to each other. In fact, we might never hear of this particular situation again. And while it's likely we'll see more Battle Royale games that are trying to ride the PUBG wave, it would be surprising if Bluehole responded to them in the same way that it did with Fortnite. And in the end, I welcome more Battle Royale games. Competition is an incredibly important thing. It pushes people to do better, and while PUBG is already an excellent experience, it could always be improved on. From the get-go, Fortnite's Battle Royale mode looks like a simple PUBG clone, but it actually does some interesting things around building and setting traps. It definitely doesn't feel as satisfying or rewarding when you take down an enemy, but who knows? Maybe another game can come along and do Battle Royale better than PUBG. That's the great thing about being able to compete over the same idea. Absolutely anyone can give it a shot.